Hello there, folks. My name is SavageBunny, bringing you my very first Empire Total War video. I took this replay probably about 2 years ago in 2014. I found it in my old replays file against a very good player. His name is Chip. He now goes by gg&gn and is probably one of the best players to ever play Empire Total War. Because the replay is so old, some audio is kind of messed up, so the sounds you hear are kind of a bit deeper and a bit weirder than you might usually hear. So anyways, back to the video. The purpose of this video and this channel, which I hope to keep up and running, is to, kind of show newer players and show people who want to get better at the game what exactly a player like me is thinking during battle. What should I do here? Or like, what strategy should I use? What moves should I make next? So I've been playing this game for a couple years now, probably since around 2013 or 14. And I've played with, against, and beaten some of the best players to ever play this game. So I feel like I'm qualified enough to tell you guys, or to show you guys what you should be doing in Empire Total War. So, like I said before, I'm playing this game against Chip. He currently goes by gg&gn. Good game and good night. He's a very good player. He's in the TSR clan and the SI clan as of now. And he's probably one of the best players to ever, play Empire Total War. So, one of the important things to note are the nations that we brought. So for example, I brought, here you see us trash talking, no big deal. But yeah, so here you see that I brought Poland and he brought Great Britain. So just a quick rundown on the two factions. Poland is very kind of mediocre in everything they do. Their line infantry is very average, their rifles are generic, and for the most part, so is everything they have. The only thing that stands out for the Polish is their melee cavalry. And that's kind of what I want to capitalize on in this game. On the other hand, my opponent, Chip, he brought Great Britain, which is pretty much widely viewed to be the best faction in the game. This is because their line infantry is very strong, they have very high morale, and they also have very high shooting stats, which is a deadly combination. Their riflemen are the best riflemen in the game, rivaled maybe only by Austria, because their green jackets are very strong because they can resist cavalry charges as they have bayonets strapped to their guns. And then their deadliest weapon are their Ferguson riflemen, which shoot extremely fast and will decimate any rifle, cav, or line unit that comes near it. So with that in mind, my strategy going into this game was to kind of just melee the heck out of him, because Britain's strong units, for the Ferguson riflemen in particular, they will kill you at a distance, and they will kill you if you let them, stand in a straight gunfight with you. But in melee, they'll die in like an instant, in a heartbeat. And so that's my strategy: kind of run forward, meat shield with my line and rifles, and then try to get my strong melee cav down a gap that I create into his cav. So here you can see I'm kind of massing my cav on the left flank, because that's where I want to attack. Our two rifles on the very left, as you can see, they're pretty much at the very edge of each other's range. If either of us moves up towards each other, they shoot and we get in a rifle fight. And so this is like a very common situation in Empire Total War. A common strategy that people will use is to try to meat shield or like send up a unit that's cheap, like a militia or a line infantry, to soak up the first volley from the enemy riflemen. So this way that your rifleman can move up and get the first volley on their rifle, and therefore win the rifle fight. So yeah, so here you can see his British rifles are shot at my line, and I'm moving up my rifleman in return and try to get some shots off of him, uncontested. He's moving his rifles back, but unfortunately for him, but good for me, not quick enough, as my rifles will get off shots. As you can see, they just shot. My left flank, with my three goons and one line in front of it, it's a little bit out of position, so I'm going to pull them back really quickly. Here you can see I'm just kind of moving my hussars around, those two melee units that were just selected, that are selected right now. Moving them around, trying to figure out like a position or a gap where I can send them in. Because I can't send them in head on, otherwise they'll get shot to death. And so this is the key move I make during the game. Swinging those two line infantry inwards, or actually outwards towards the flank, it creates this kind of gap. Do you see it? The gap between my two riflemen and my line infantry. And so my hussars are pretty much in that gap right now. I'm not going to send them into charge, but I'm going to wait for the right moment. So by moving my line up like this, I'm kind of shielding off the gap by making my line take any potential fire and making a clear path for my hussars to get into the center of his formation. Here you can see I'm sending my light goons up in the middle behind the militia to take some pot shots. My militia's wavering, which is dangerous, not good. So here you can see he's moving his cav up towards his right flank, my left flank to support. And so this is where I launch it. This is where I launch my melee attack. So here I send my 2 light dragoons in, and this is crucial. So they target his Ferguson rifleman and his goons, as you can see here. And instantly they start to waver, and instantly I start to cause havoc. And there's 2 benefits to this. A, I'm killing his units, but B, in the confusion where he's trying to rush around his units to counter mine, I can continue shooting. And so it kind of causes twice the damage. So here you can see he's moved his goons over to try to help, but my goons, they intersected and they're getting some good volleys off. And here I haven't committed my most powerful unit, the Winged Hussar, yet, but I'm about to. So as I said before, I'm just kind of keeping my hussars around, just kind of swinging them in and back and forth to try to beat off the beat off the rifles and try to keep the enemy player confused. So here you can see on the left flank, I have 3 goons behind my line. He's advancing his line, and I'm going to take this fight because he only has 1 line infantry against my 2 and 1 goon against my 3. So that's something that I'll win every time. Or sorry, my mistake, he has 2, but 2 versus 3, I'll still win that every single time. So yeah, I've created a gap, or I've kind of created a gap by killing off the units between his center and his left flank, and his right flank, the one facing against my left flank. And by doing this, I can just kind of swing troops outward to surround his flank and kind of decimate it. Once it's off the field, I'll just swing back inwards and curl around and wrap up his flanks, and then it'll be good game in my favor. But the game isn't over yet, because I can still make a mistake and he could still come back because he still has cavalry left. Here you can see me make a mistake. I keep sending my Winged Hussars towards his rifles, which I just did, you can't see anymore. But right here, I keep sending my Winged Hussars towards his rifles, but they're unsupported pretty much, so it's not really a smart choice, and they kind of route off the field, which is unfortunate because they cost me a lot of money. So on the left flank here, I continue to push inwards. I have 3 goons, 5 goons total actually, and 3 line against his troops. So I'm gonna keep pushing forward to try to wrap that up. At the same time, I am micromanaging the other flank to make sure that he doesn't push up, and trying to make sure that I don't take any unnecessary losses by pulling out where I don't need to be engaged. And here you just saw his flank is starting to pull apart. They've all routed. And at this point, it's pretty much good game. It's just a question of how long. I'm going to take all my troops that I just used to beat up his flank and curl them inwards, as you can see, to start surrounding the remnants of his troops. So you can already see I'm starting to make like a V shape, with one flank coalescing and pressing down on one side, the other flank pressing down on the other. And I'll just use my cav advantage also to move around the back and surround him on all 4 sides if possible. So the lessons to be learned from this game are mainly that just because your opponent brings Great Britain doesn't mean that you're screwed. You can still be nifty, you can still bring Great Britain, or bring a nation other than Great Britain and win. Poland here, I did something a little bit unorthodox. Not many people cav rush anymore, and I feel like that might have caught him by surprise. And that's another lesson. Don't stay so predictable in what you do. Once you get better at the game, you can start switching up what you do, taking people off guard. But the keys are to learn the fundamentals first, and once you learn the fundamentals, to build off that by being, crazy and creative. Another quick thing to learn or to note is that one of the main reasons my melee charged down the center left with my 2 hussars, and then followed up eventually by my Winged Hussar, one of the reasons why that was so successful was because he didn't keep too much support behind his rifles to protect them. So I just pretty much charged in and got into melee without getting shot. And so that's something very important to note. If you're a faction like Great Britain, where rifles are something that you need to rely on for victory, and they're one of your best weapons, you need to make sure to protect them and not let them get meleeed. So always keep like light dragoons behind your rifles, or maybe even like a line or militia, just for a safe measure. So the game is about to end here in a couple minutes. So he only has a couple units left. I'm just bringing my troops in, as I said before, shooting him on all sides. Bringing my goons around, as you can see on the top, to swing around the right to fire at them. He's formed a triangle to try to defend, but when he formed a triangle, you see that he creates these corners where I can just shoot at with my goons. One of his rifles came back, I'm just going to melee that. And so I turned my goons to shoot at the corner, or what was a corner. And since its flanks are exposed to me, so my goons shoot, and then I pull them out so they don't get shot. And so it's just a matter of keeping my troops up and keeping up the moves and just surrounding and eventually destroying him. So I want to thank Chip for such a good battle, and also for being such a great person that I've kind of kept in contact with over the past couple of years in Empire Total War. I hope you guys learned something out of this video, and I hope you guys, can leave some comments or tips on what you think I could do better. I just want to thank my opponent Chip for a great game. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully it was very informative for you guys to watch as well. Once again, this is SavageBunny. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in a later video. Adios.